Hello again. This is Reni Sentana-Ries. This is my fifth video clip in my own voice. Today I wish to elaborate a little on the issue of how have mountain ranges formed and what caused the flood of Noah. We enjoy the beautiful views of snow-capped mountain ranges, don't we? But have we ever contemplated by what forces such beauty was actually created? Few of us have, and fewer yet understand how it was done. In 2012, I wrote an article on this subject, and I wish to relate it to you now. Having at length explained the circumstances around which the solar ice caps were formed, let me now share with you in brief my understanding around the formation of mountain ranges as well as oceanic tidal waves. We have gotten so used to living on a tranquil globe that the notion of a catastrophe happening on a global scale has become nearly unimaginable. And so we look downward to the earth, the ground whereupon we stand, for explanations why volcanoes erupt, earthquakes happen, rock strata has broken up and shifted, mountain ranges have formed, floods happened on a global scale, massive canyons were formed from receding floodwaters, and dinosaurs have suddenly become extinct. Wrong direction to look if we seek explanations. The threat comes from the cosmos. Only when we begin to look up into the open sky and are open-minded to possibilities coming at us from outer space can we model and create in our minds the model we create in our minds become logical and within a parameter of one which is quite demonstrable by forces of mass, speed, direction, and general mathematics. Earth's crust is relatively thin. All continental plates float on liquid molten magma, and under the right conditions, this magma can create waves like the water we observe on a windy day. When magma becomes moved by external forces to generate waves, then, of course, the rigid thin crust above it will break and fragment in patterns and extent we observe today as mountain ranges. All matter attracts matter. We call it gravity. That is why we are compelled to walk upright, for the minuscule size of our bodies are seized upon by the massive amount of matter from the planet itself. And this fundamental law of gravity, translated into an interplanetary scale, is the root cause for mountain ranges and massive amounts of ocean waters. So, consequently, we must look upward in order to find matter in space large enough to effect movement on our magma ocean, which is definitely global in size. I say Mars was the culprit. And what takes us to planets in our solar system? Some are smaller than our Earth and some are larger. The most likely candidate for a possible stirring of our magma ocean is, of course, Mars, which is also the closest, aside from our own moon, too small to worry about. The moon is already in our backyard and not endowed with mass and gravitational pull enough to create waves on the surface of the magma ocean. It can merely create oceanic tides to about 15 feet of seawater. The culprit for Earth's catastrophic periods is definitely Mars. Today it carries an approximate 2-to-1 orbital ratio around the Sun. That is, where it takes planet Earth 1 year for a path around the Sun, it takes Mars 2 years. That would have been okay had it not been for the fact that Mars's orbit is extremely elliptical, and as such periodically coming into close proximity with that of our own planet. At least that's how it was in the past. Orbital gravitational planetary approaches we call conjunctions. Conjunctions among planets do not result in collisions, but they can have catastrophic effects on both planets involved. The smaller planet can then lose most of its atmospheric and oceanic content to the larger planet of greater gravitational force, and so we observe Mars containing little atmosphere, hardly any water, yet planet Earth has an overabundance of both. Hence, much of Earth's water and atmosphere has been captured from other planets in fly-bys, with Mars being at the top of Earth's list as content supplier of water. In the case of such interaction between Mars and Earth, we must look back into Earth's recorded history to find out exactly when extremely catastrophic conditions befell Mother Earth, analyze the magnitudes, draw our conclusions from those dates, and arrive at a pattern. That time-wise pattern must by necessity be divisible by 2. If the spread between major catastrophes on Earth at one time was every 56 years, then we conclude that the fling between Earth and Mars threw Mars into an orbit where there was extreme danger to Earth only every 56 years. Now that we have a mechanism of catastrophes on Earth established in its possible origin, we can proceed to make our deductions as how these periodic conjunctions may have affected primarily our planet whereupon we reside. Depending on Mars's proximity flyby, our ocean waters would have rinsed over the continents in 1 to several mile high tidal waves. It would depress continental ground into the magma, causing continents to sink and ocean floors to rise, which then would form new continents. Resulting magma waves we expect to break up the crust in fairly regular patterns, and upon raising the broken earth crust, tilt the chunks and settle them down again in the regular pattern we all can observe in our known mountain ranges. Such activity is therefore not accomplished in millions of years, as some would have us believe, but in a matter of a few hours. Of course, each time a conjunction occurs, the rotational spin of Earth becomes affected to result in alteration to the Earth's length of a day, as well as a relocation of the geomagnetic field of this planet. When calm has returned, we find also that Earth's rotational spin axis has shifted into a different position. I believe the last encounter of Earth with Mars was the worst, and resulted in flinging planet Mars into an orbit around the Sun where Mars can no longer threaten Earth's tranquility of its orbit around the Sun. Thank you very much for listening. My name is Reni Sentana-Ries, and I appreciate your presence here with me at this time. Come again. I have more to say on various subjects of interest. Thank you very much, and have a good day, and a good evening, and a good night.